She then had the same feeling she'd had several years ago when she had swung too high and too fast on the swings at the playground, and the world teetered underneath her. A feeling of triumph, but also of terror. She knew it. This Patrick was not the real Patrick. Every author has his or her own writing process. So this is mine. My writing process is consistency. I write 1,000 words a day, 365 days a year. Well, that's not true. I do occasionally cheat, like sometimes I'll take off on my birthday or for a holiday. But I would estimate that I write 360 days a year, 1,000 words a day. I prefer to do my writing right here at my dining room table, to get up in the morning and pour myself a cup of coffee and dive right in. But it doesn't always happen that way. I'm pretty busy, so I have been known to do my writing, kind of squeeze it in whenever I can, on napkins, in notebooks, and even on my cell phone, on my BlackBerry. I wrote my first novel, in fact, almost entirely on my BlackBerry while commuting between jobs on the subway. So as a result, I have the world's fastest thumbs. I like to do my writing on my computer for the most part. So I would say about 75% of the time I sit down and I type at my computer. I find that writing by hand helps me to brainstorm ideas because it feels less official, so I'm able to free associate a little bit better. So sometimes when I'm stuck on the computer, I'll deliberately switch to writing by hand, and then I will transfer it into the computer later. My writing schedule is really just about how much writing I want to accomplish. I prefer to sit down and do all of that writing right in a row, but it's not always possible. Sometimes writing 1,000 words, rarely, but sometimes only takes me about 45 minutes, but more often it takes me several hours. So occasionally I have to kind of sneak it in when I can. I'll write 200 words in the morning, another 100 words when I'm in the back of a taxi headed to the airport, another 200 on the plane, and over the course of a day I stitch together that 1,000 words. How long it takes me to write a book depends somewhat on the length of the book. My teen books have typically take me about a year to develop a pretty solid first draft, whereas my middle grade books take me closer to 6 or 7 months. Many authors have a list of things they need in order to begin writing that may include a specific place in their house, or a certain kind of music, a special tea, a magic lamp, maybe a genie. I try as hard as possible not to really depend on external things before I can write, because then when I'm traveling or on the road for a long period of time, I would never get my writing done. But there is one thing that's a definite must-have for me before I can start writing, and that is coffee. But I kind of need coffee in order to start living, so that's just my thing. When I write a first draft, it's incredibly messy, and in fact, it usually isn't really decipherable to anybody but me. So when I've finished a first draft, I usually go through it between 1 and 3 additional times before I even submit it to my editor for her review and for her editing. I think every author has probably a small, trusted group of people with whom they share early drafts. I certainly do. We all need support, and we all need advice from time to time. It's hard to write in a vacuum. For me, it's very important, though, not to share my early drafts with too many people. I become overly obsessed with other people's opinions and making other people happy, and I lose track of really the book itself and the book and how the book should be written. But I definitely share with my father and my agent, and I sometimes sneak little bits of my early drafts to my editor just to make sure that what I'm writing is not totally insane. But if it's a little insane, that's okay. My first draft of The Spindlers was relatively painless, but that's also because it wasn't very good. It was a book that I had to do a lot of revision on because it takes place in an imaginary world, and I really needed to do a lot of work to make that world come to life and be as full and rich as possible. Once I finished writing a manuscript, I email it to my editor for her opinion.